am convinced this is one of the simplest reasons why most podcasters don't make money, and it's probably not as complicated as you think. Podcast Growth Nation today for episode number 185, products, pricing, and positioning. So as you can see, / potentially hear, I am recording this from a hotel because I'm on the road visiting a client, helping them with their podcast and their studio. So I'm on the road, but I had a very impactful conversation with a client yesterday, or actually this was a free coaching call I did. And this person is very dialed in when it comes to, this is my package, this is the pricing, it's for this amount of time, this is what you get. But the problem is they don't have demand yet. So today I want to talk about, I think, what is one of the most common mistakes that podcasters and business owners make just in general, but specifically to podcasters, when it comes to your products, when it comes to your pricing, and when it comes to your positioning. So all of this essentially, and I mean this with love, is useless if we don't have demand. People get to a weird place where they assume, okay, well, eventually people will start reaching out. Eventually people will come out of the woodwork. It doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. And for most people, they don't actually understand the level of demand it takes to make money. I did a chat GPT thing yesterday where for some reason I've always been very frustrated when I see content on social media that says, if you want to make $1 million this year, all you have to do is sell 30 products a day at $70 or whatever it is. When you run the math of that, and if you heard the conversion episode, that's the reference. If you didn't hear the conversion episode, that might be something good to go back and watch / listen to. For every, let's say you get 2% of people that see your stuff to actually do something, just do the math on that. You need 50 times the people in order to get a result, right? So if you want to sell 70 products a day, you need 3,500 people to see your stuff every single day. So you need over 1 million people to see your stuff in order to make $1 million, hypothetically, in this example. It takes a long time to build demand. And a lot of what you're seeing on social media is people who already have demand. If you have 1 million followers, it's not that hard to make money if you understand a few simple fundamentals. If you have no followers, it's a lot harder to make money no matter what people say. I don't believe the people who say, doesn't matter how many followers you have. Of course it does. From a psychological standpoint, from a proof of concept standpoint, from a social proof standpoint, of course your followers makes some level of a difference. You wouldn't listen to me if I didn't have a successful podcast. You shouldn't listen to me if I don't have a successful podcast, right? That's a piece of it. So the pricing, the product, the positioning, those are only as valuable as the amount of demand you have. Now, I'm not saying it's not valuable to get these things ironed out in advance, but I feel like people spend so much time perfecting these that they get to a place where they're like, honestly, nothing's happening and nobody's buying this, I'm going to quit, when they just don't understand how much demand it actually takes. I mean, really think about it. Again, as of today, I think I've been on 1,000 podcasts as a guest, right? So I've been on 1,000 podcasts as a guest. I've done 500 podcast breakthrough sessions. And I don't know, right now we have like 80 clients, I think, but just if you run the numbers are just not what most people say. So I don't want it to be that episode again. I don't want to just continue to discuss that. But the products, the pricing, and the positioning, they matter to the degree that you understand how much demand you need. So products. What a lot of people do is they create a product or something that has nothing to do with their podcast. I don't think that makes sense because the lead generation you're going to be getting is from the podcast. So it probably should align with the podcast. If you have a podcast that interviews people about their stories, I don't think it's a good idea to try to sell people podcast services. I don't think it makes that much sense. I think there's a more aligned product out there for you. Pricing. I always am of the belief that in the beginning, you should just charge less than other people because you will get a faster opportunity to get feedback, and then you can raise your prices as you go. Okay? We have several clients that pay us anywhere from $4,000 to $9,000 a month. We would not have any of those clients if we didn't start in the very beginning for whatever it was in the very beginning. And even in the very beginning, I started higher than I should have, for sure. Most people don't want to hear that, but you got to get good at the system, and there's always flaws in the system, but you got to get good at what you're delivering before you can ask for a lot of money for it. It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense. And that's a really good way for you to feel like you're losing because you're not getting the results you think you should. And then I think another big piece that isn't really discussed, and I understand why, is positioning. If I'm having a conversation with somebody who is coaching people on social media and they don't have a good social media, your positioning is not good. Your credibility, your expertise, your proof of concept, none of those are really that high. I've worked with a lot of people who have 50 episodes and say they're a podcast coach. I'm not saying you can't be, but what I am saying is I don't care as much about the episodes you have as I do the results that you have. I said this to somebody the other day. I said people don't necessarily care about experience, they care about results, to a detriment. You line up a personal trainer who has 25 years of experience and is not in good shape, and you line up a personal trainer who has 1 year of experience but is in incredibly good shape. Who do you think people are going to pick more often than not? It's going to be the person who has the results. They have the proof. That is a piece a lot of us are missing. It's the positioning part. A lot of people want to go from I'm a podcaster to I coach other podcasters. Love it. I will help you do that. I believe there's plenty of opportunity to go around. I'm not hoarding any of that. I will give that to you for free all the time. I love that. But what is your credibility? Oh, well, I've done 50 episodes. Love it. Awesome. Congrats. Strong work. What results have you gotten from the 50 episodes? Now, I know you could say, well, Kev, you're always talking about the number of episodes you have. One, it's a little different. 3,000 episodes in total is different than 50, right? So we're in a very, 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 very unique case where most people don't ever get to this level. So that's a piece of it. The other piece is I've done this full time since 2018. I was very broke in the beginning, so I didn't do full-time income, but I've been doing this full time for the last however many years that is, 7 years, 8 years. I've been doing this full time for the last 8 years, which is wild. That's a piece of it, right? And the podcast has made 7 figures. We have a 7-figure business because of the podcast. That's my positioning. If you came to me and said, hey, I am starting a construction business and I want you to help, I have no positioning there. I have no expertise. I have no credibility. You shouldn't hire me. You should probably hire somebody else, a better business coach, whatever. The pricing, the product, and the positioning all need to be in alignment, and we have to understand what's more valuable to us. Do you want to have 5 clients who pay you a lot of money, or do you want to have 50 clients that pay you less money? Either way, I think you should probably start the same way. That's the ultimate thought process. We have some very quote-unquote big fish clients right now. We would not have any of those big fish clients if we didn't start with quote-unquote small fish clients. It's just the way it works, because you've got to get the experience. So, and here, this is the interesting thing too, how it all kind of ties together. Your positioning increases, so let's just say credibility, proof of concept, positioning, that increases when you work with more clients. So if you work with a lot of clients in the beginning for very little money, you're putting money away in the future. Like, you're building opportunity in the future. And I think that is incredible. I think that is the best thing in the world, as long as you're going to do this for a long period of time, because you're getting better at the craft, you're mastering the craft. And then when you work with clients, now you have proof of concept. Now you have testimonials. Now you have stories for your podcast. Now you have confidence. Now you know what people are willing to pay. It all connects. Your product, your price affect your positioning. Your positioning affects your opportunity to charge a certain price and create certain products. And all of this is tied together, but not if you don't understand that nothing happens until demand is there. And essentially, this whole podcast thing, the social media, podcast, Facebook group, freebie, paid, all of that stuff, the goal is to build demand. That's the ultimate goal. And for most podcasters, having an audience that listens to you just isn't going to be enough. They're going to have to take another step. 99.999% of you have not bought anything from me or purchased anything from me, and you most likely won't ever unless you get past a certain threshold in the business where it makes sense for you. It's the same for most podcasters. And the podcasts we hear that are making boatloads of money and blah, 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 that's because they have incredibly high demand for the most part. I'm not saying it's always that way. But the Call Her Daddies and those shows that get acquired for hundreds of millions of dollars, they have millions and billions of streams. So the demand is incredibly high. That is the piece that I think a lot of us are missing. It just takes a long time to build demand, and everything is done to build demand. When people say, oh, your prices are too low, you shouldn't do it for that price, that's helping to build demand whether you know it or not. We're getting to the point where I'm going to have to find a podcaster who is interested in podcast coaching. I will teach them my ways of coaching because I want to make sure it stays at a high quality that I decide, because this is going to be my coaching practice. And they're going to come in and they're going to coach clients because I'm not going to have time anymore to coach certain clients. That's just because the demand is there. The demand is there. And the supply, my time, is not there. I'll be very honest. One of the reasons I'm staying in a hotel is because I see a client 2 times a week. So Thursday and Friday, I see them at their business in their podcast studio. And it's like an hour drive. So rather than driving an hour there and an hour back and then waking up and driving an hour there and an hour back, I just stay in a hotel because it's just easier on my time. Demand, as it builds, you start to move pieces around to make sure that your time is invested in the most useful places, right? But in the beginning, I would argue, and then we'll get out of here because I have another podcast to prepare for here on the road. I would argue that you're better off getting 5 free clients than 1 client that pays you $500 a week. I'll say $500 a month. Somebody's paying you $500 a week. That's a different game. But I'd rather you have 5 free people, whatever that means. Like when I say clients, we can say clients or customers, because you're going to get feedback, you get testimonials, you get experience, you get stories, all of those things, and you get 5 times the amount as opposed to just having 1 paying client, 1 paying customer, hypothetically. That is my thought process. If I was going to start a cookie company tomorrow, I would make a bunch of cookies, I would give them out for free, and I would lose money with the hope and the strategy that my cookies are good enough that people are going to talk about it. I would rather have 100 people come taste them for free, and some of them say, okay, these are really good, I'm going to come back, than have 10 people come and pay the first day. I'd rather just have 100 people come and at least see the experience, right? That's my thesis, my hypothesis in today's episode. All right, if you're interested in any of what we talked about today, and you're at a place where maybe it's time to monetize, or you're a service provider, or you're a coach, or you're a thought leader in a specific space and you want to start making money with the podcast, I will have my link below for a free 30-minute podcast breakthrough session. I'm happy to jam with you. If you're a podcast coach, I could care less. Like, we can jam on what I did to get to where I am. I'm more than happy to share that. I believe there's plenty of opportunity to go around. So anything I can do to add value, I am grateful to do. I hope that you are understanding this at a deeper level. Starting a business from a podcast is a serious business. And I think a lot of people just lighten it and say, oh yeah, do what you love and you do it long enough and it'll... No, there's got to be some strategy. Coming from somebody who did it for a long time as somebody who just loved it and things didn't work. I think there's a reason for that. All right, until next week, keep on crushing it, keep on podcasting, and I will talk to you all then.